Legacy Boxing Showcase, sponsored by Legacy Boxing Promotion, Pettis Collision, Ed Nunez, along with Austin Colleen. And Austin, we've got a lot of things to talk about this week. We've got Hall of Fame boxing, New Mexico Boxing Hall of Fame inductee Mike Adams will be our guest in the second segment, and that's going to be always a joy and a treasure. Mike's a close friend of both of ours, so it's going to be good to have him on the show. First things first, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, I believe last weekend, and we had Josh Torres, who had been in Danny Garcia's camp. He was our guest on the last show, and I thought, he talked about how he sparred and how he was getting Danny Garcia ready, and he thought at the end of the night that Danny Garcia would have his hand raised, and he did. You want to talk about that fight just a little bit?
Well, I don't think he had his hand raised.
Danny Garcia?
No, he lost.
Oh, I thought Garcia won.
No, he lost.
Okay, my mistake.
Yeah, because I had Sean Porter. That was my.
So Sean Porter comes away with the win.
It was an exciting fight. The difference between that fight and the one tomorrow night is that fight was for hardcore boxing fans. Tomorrow night, you're going to get the casual fan to tune in to see Triple G and Canelo.
Triple G and Canelo, that we'll talk about at length as much as we can with Mike Adams. A rematch of a fight that many thought Triple G won. Adelaide Bird had the fight 118 to 110, which a lot of people still can't believe. So, they waited for the rematch, and Canelo got tested with some bad beef, and they waited some more. And here we are on the cusp of that fight on Saturday evening.
Well, in defense of Bird, she got to the arena late. The doors were locked, so she had to watch it on her radio. And that accounted for the story.
There's always one quip that Austin Colleen has during the show, and I'm sure you got a couple more. Now, Austin, this week, this Monday, the New Mexico Boxing Hall of Fame board met. You guys had a meeting, and we're going to announce on this show who the 2018 inductees are. And only two people know, board members Louis Burke and Colleen Aycock. So everyone's hearing this, including yourself, and Mike Adams as well. They're hearing it for the first time.
The envelope is medically sealed.
Without further ado, this thing is really stitched up pretty good.
Let's hope it's not an empty envelope.
No, I don't think so.
We don't have much of a show.
No, we won't.
Mike used to do vaudeville, so he can come in.
Here we go.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to read the names. As we said, you're hearing this for the first time. So the 2018 New Mexico Boxing Hall of Fame inductees, Mr. Jerry Martinez, Brooks Bird, Pat Holmes, Jim Lilly, Dr. Reynaldo Martinez, Sandy Pino, and Tony Romero. Any initial reaction, Austin?
Well, we definitely got it right with Brooks Beard and Tony Romero. They were both tremendous fighters. Brooks Beard won the National Golden Gloves, and I believe it was 1967. But a little interesting story there. He fought Tony Romero to see who would go to the Nationals, and Tony Romero actually won the fight. Tony told me when I interviewed him that Brooks Beard was a far better fighter, and everybody thought that he would win. But Tony was a competitor, and he threw an overhand right at the start of the fight, ripped a cut on Brooks' eye, and they had to stop the fight, so Tony won in a first-round TKO. When they went home that night, their trainer, they had the same trainer, and they had flipped a coin to see who would fight for Clovis, New Mexico, and who would fight for Roswell, because Roswell didn't have a 123-pounder. So Tony Romero represented Roswell. But the trainer told both of them, I'm still going to send Brooks Beard to the Nationals if you're cool with that. So Tony said he knew Brooks was the better fighter. The question was this cut, he had a massive cut. So what they did is they put makeup on it. They removed the stitches when they got to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And the doctors in examining Brooks Beard didn't notice the cut. And it never opened, and he won 3 fights and won the national
What a story. Gosh, I mean, who would have known that, covering it up with makeup and having to go through all of that, and he won the title anyway. Go ahead.
Interesting, they both turned pro, and Tony Romero was the Ring Magazine Prospect of the Month, which was a high honor. Back then, they take, preliminary fighters and they do the 8 weight divisions. And they selected him as Fighter of the Month. And Brooks Beard also was selected as Ring Magazine Fighter of the Month. But he was also ranked 8th in the world. They both had successful pro careers, but Brooks Beard had the more successful career of the two of them. And Brooks Beard fought some of the best featherweights, junior lightweights in the world. And so they're both outstanding fighters and well-deserved.
We've also got a couple names that are familiar with me, and I'm sure with the audience as well. Pat Holmes and Sandy Pino.
Great. I'm glad that they picked Pat. He sells out the Buffalo Thunder every single time they put on a show. I think he's got like 13 straight sellouts or something to that effect. It's amazing how he does it.
Mike Adams always a part of those shows up there.
I'm trying to read his finger count, but he is not holding any fingers. So,
and Sandy Pino.
What's that?
Sandy Pino also.
Sandy Pino is a veteran. I think she was the first president of USA Boxing. She is an excellent judge for us, and she has a long career with both in the pros and the amateurs.
Been at it for a number of years.
Right, but because you never want to say a woman's age, so.
Yes,
she started when she was 11, and I think she's about 19 now. So.
But yeah, again, some great nominees, some great names here, and I'm sure that Mike Adams will expand upon this in our second segment. So we'll be back to Legacy Boxing Showcase after these messages.
Right, twins to the right, twins to the left. Garland's throwing to the end zone. Got a receiver out there. Caught, touchdown.
Jamal, man, this beat is crazy.
On 35-yard line. Garland's got plenty of time. Throws deep down the left side. Receiver out there. Caught by Batum. Touchdown. Cody Batum.
The ball knocked forward. Gabe Legendre's on a run. One-on-one. Legendre! 1-0 to the Cleveland Storm. And that's the 11th goal of the season for Gabe Legendre. And he's going to celebrate with the Storm faithful.
Lorelei Logan was fighting through the bodies. There's another one, and that's the first points of the game. This one again, short and low. And that's another score for the Cougars.
They'll start from the 32, right to left here. Here's Austin Smith, the junior quarterback, going for it all to Connor O'Toole. Yes! He's got an arm and he's got his guy, and it's caught! Touchdown! They trail 1-0. Ball into the box. Erickson! Tyler Erickson!
has leveled this game for La Cueva. It's 1-1. The senior finds the back of the net. Oh, and a goal. It's a goal for La Cueva. And Cleveland are shocked.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, backed by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Welcome back to Legacy Boxing Showcase, sponsored by Legacy Boxing Promotions, Pettis Collision, Ed Nunez, along with Austin Colleen. Joined in studio now by 2017 New Mexico Boxing Hall of Fame inductee Mike Adams, also host of On the Mic with Mike Adams, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 610, The Sports Animal. Coach, welcome.
Thank you. What an honor to be with you, Coach. We see each other on Saturdays, and Austin and all his history of boxing. Truly appreciate the invitation today.
We're honored to have you, Coach. And Coach, we call each other Coach. We've known each other so long.
Yeah.
You saw the names of the inductees. Jerry, let's go over them again. Josh, if you could run them up on the screen for us, please. Jerry Martinez, founder, producer. Josh Brown doing a great job. Brooks Bird, Pat Holmes, Jim Lilly, Dr. Reynaldo Martinez, Sandy Pino, and Tony Romero. Coach, before we go over that list, I wanted to ask you, and I was lucky enough, fortunate enough to be the master of ceremonies at last year's induction, and your daughter, Alyssa, inducted you. And I'll tell you what, as long as we've known each other, over 25, 30 years,
Yeah.
I mean, I had tingles when she was giving the speech. Tell us what a moment was for you, Coach.
Well, it was a big moment, and how honored was I that I'm inducted into the New Mexico Boxing Hall of Fame. Very humbled that evening. To have my daughter, Alyssa, she's my #1 girl in the world, was even more special, Coach. So I appreciate those kind words about her. She's an amazing young lady. And what a night it was, for my family to be there, my brother to fly down, my sister to fly down. I'm real happy. The board of directors have inducted these individuals into this prestigious hall. And how lucky am I get to be part of it. So good to hear the names, and I'm sure it was a tough decision by all of you, and these are the names they came up with. So congratulations to each of you. Welcome to the hall.
I remember when, and Austin, I'm going to turn this over to you. I remember when you got selected, Coach, and, I was honored that one of the first calls you made was to me. And I remember I was going home, and you called me, and it was about 10 to 5, and you're like, Coach, I got inducted, or I'm going to get inducted. And, man, I was so happy for you.
Yeah, I got
really
the call. When I got the call, I couldn't believe it either. And again, how honored am I? How lucky was I to be around some of the greatest fights, not just here locally, but all around the country. So I can imagine when these guys get the call and when they hear and watch your guys' show tomorrow, it'll be interesting to hear their speeches and their journeys, because each and every one of them, wow, what a journey.
No doubt about it. Austin?
Well, it's great to have the voice of New Mexico boxing sitting next to me here.
Thank you.
For a little longer. I think there's a young girl that might replace him, and she'll be the first female boxing announcer.
Wow, how honored would I be if Alyssa became an announcer, right?
You'll be knocked out by your own daughter. Yeah, so that was very impressive last year.
No, thank you. Thank you for those kind words.
Because, what was she, 17, 18?
19 now, student at New Mexico State. I know there's a big game this Saturday,
Oh, yeah.
Aggies,
Oh, yeah.
Lobos. But, you know, loves business-minded, so I'm fortunate.
Well, she was really proud that night, and she really gave a passionate introduction to you.
Yeah.
So that was very well done. So you have a few friends on here in that list.
Yeah, I do, and what an exciting time. You know, I want to start with Sandy Martinez-Pino, an ambassador to boxing throughout the entire world. And what Sandy has done is truly amazing. My hat's off to her. Congratulations, young lady. You truly deserve this. I see Pat Holmes on here. Me and Pat go back years, and what an honor for Pat. And Pat, you know, deserves it. You're talking about, I know you said 13, it's 18 sellouts in a row at Buffalo Thunder. If you track back Pat's legacy to boxing as far as from a promotional standpoint, it's pretty amazing. And then, of course, he works with boxers. You had mentioned Sandy as a judge, as a timekeeper, but Sandy was a true ambassador for USA Boxing, a true ambassador everywhere she represented us around the world. Those two I know very, very well. You know, the founder, Jerry Martinez, to get in, what an honor for him, and what a speech he gave last year. You were there. So how exciting it is for him. And, you know, for Brooks Bird, Dr. Reynaldo Martinez, Tony Romero, congratulations. What an honor to each and every one of you. And I'll be there that night. And I think everybody who's been inducted should participate, should attend. It's an event that, you know, will be long lasting. And it's one of those things that this is memorable. You talk about memories and what you take away. This is a memory for these individuals that I think they'll always remember.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, because I remember, you know, the awards I was really watching closely, and you gifted it to your brother, I believe, to your brother from Las Vegas. The award that you got, you gave it to him. So I remember the program, Poison Anaya last year, yourself. I probably wouldn't remember all of them, but I remember the whole program and just calling the names out. And when I did, Coach, I felt that tingle for everybody, because it's a great moment. When you told me, I was so happy for you, because like I said, I've known you for so long. We've done the show together. You know, I've been with you for 5 years on that show.
Right.
And so when, you know, I've known you since you played basketball Star at Del Norte back in the day. So, man, when you hear that, you know, you're like, wow, man, what an honor. So when you're honoring these people here, that comes from experience, and that comes from the heart. Because I remember you going, looking out at the banquet room. You got the Pettis brothers there. You got the Fidel Maldonado there. Yeah. I mean, you got New Mexico's who's who there. So if you don't get excited about that, Coach, and again, you're gonna have another great ceremony, and you can talk about the time and place, Austin, here in a minute. But I think all the festivities and the fanfare and the pomp and circumstance, Coach, were great, man.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those events where these individuals will know, once they're spoken of and once they're brought up to that podium, what it means and all their accomplishments and all their hard work, and, you know, most importantly, time, passion, and the dedication that they've provided for boxing. We know the history of boxing here: Bobby Foster, Johnny, Danny, Holly, Austin, the next generation, all the guys who have been inducted in the past. It's pretty impressive, and congratulations to each and every one of you. What an honor. And I'm just going to be happy that night that I get to be there and watch it all take place.
Well, it's going to be cool. Is a word that comes to my mind. It's quite an honor, and it's in a beautiful setting.
Austin, you want to talk about the venue and where it's going to be at and what date and everything?
Well, we're going to be at the Embassy Suites in Ballroom, and catered meal. And last year was our first time there, and we had over 200 people. It was the biggest banquet we've had, and it was just a great evening. And we hope to do the same thing this year. Time permitted, there's even a little time at the end for social hour, if we can move it along. And, well, I'm just looking forward. We have a lot of work to do now. We want to...
You say the date, Austin? I don't know if you said the date.
Oh, I have it. The 27th. It's a Saturday night in
October or September?
October.
October 27th.
And so now I have to get photos of these people. We want to make up a poster. By the way, the other Martinez, they're brothers. Dr. Martinez has donated his time both in the pros and amateurs, giving physicals, and you know, he usually doesn't even take any money for it. So he's just donated his time. And of course, this Jerry started the Hall of Fame, and you know, he never wanted to put himself in. It would have seemed kind of arrogant, so he felt kind of funny. So that's why he was never in the Hall of Fame.
Austin, October 27th, Embassy Suites. Time?
It's going to be at 7 o'clock at night, and there's a golf tournament, ironically, in the daytime. I wish I knew the course. Maybe I just don't know.
People interested can, buy tickets.
They can contact the Embassy Suite, or they can.
ColeensCorner.com.
Right.
If you want to know anything about boxing in New Mexico, Austin Colleen has a column just about weekly, and your last one about Tony Romero. I've enjoyed all of them. I really do. You're the boxing expert here, along with my good friend Mike Adams. So it's going to be a great event there, Austin. I don't think there's any question about it. Embassy Suites, October 27th, 7 p.m. How much are tickets?
$40.
$40.
And that's a steal, because around the country, the Hall of Fames are charging between $70 and $90 for their banquets.
I remember last year you had Anthony Aragon singing the national anthem. Just a great event. Coach, the other speech I remember was Chris Linson. Chris Linson from last year. That was heartfelt, man. That really was, because I'm right there on the stage. So when Chris Linson talked, he's an inductee of 2017. I just love athletics anyway, Coach.
Sure.
You know that. So
Absolutely.
when anybody is honored like that, it's like, wow, gosh, man, you never forget it. I mean, you got your family there. Your whole family came in. That was my first time. As long as I've known you, that's my first time getting to meet your brothers and your sisters. And so they're there, proud as heck. Alyssa inducting you. Paula and Preston it don't get any better than that, man.
No, and Chris Linson, well deserved. And what a class I went in with. How honored am I, that I get to be in the hall, and then the class I was inducted with. So yeah, Chris deserved it. What a great speech that night. I know they honored him in the day.
Right, little parade, wasn't it?
In Santa Fe,
right.
New Mexico.
Chris Linson Day, Coach.
Yeah, it was Chris Linson
Yeah.
Day. Now Pat Holmes goes in from Santa Fe, New Mexico. And when you look at the state as a whole, this great state we live in, and I truly love New Mexico, the history of boxing, it's pretty amazing. So I'm sure we're going to hear some phenomenal speeches on this particular evening, and what a night it's going to be. I'm excited. I'll be there. And get tickets, and especially if you're in the hall, for all the Hall of Fame members, come support the new class. And I encourage everybody to come on out and get to say hello, shake some hands, and it's a fun night.
I'll tell you one thing, Austin, I'm going to turn this right back to you. I didn't know a lot of boxing people then. I mean, I've been on the show with you for a while. I've met some when you brought them up to the studio. But that night there, I got to meet a lot. So it is a great event. Again, Embassy Suites, October 27th, 7 p.m. Tickets are $40. Call the Embassy Suites or write ColeensCorner.com. Austin, go ahead.
Well, one of the speeches that really caught my eye last year was Sergio Chavez talking about coming over with his mother and father and twin brothers as a little boy, and they'd come and do some work up around the Grant area, but they'd always go back to Mexico. And then one year they just made the move, and Sergio was just so proud to come to the United States and live the American dream. And at the end of the speech, he says, "I have lived it, and I'm so happy to be
Oh, I
here."
remember that. I do
And
remember
he
that.
was all choked up.
Yeah, great induction,
Yeah.
super trainer, phenomenal. And Austin, just kind of that night, you see Louis Burke, you see Rocky Burke, you hear the name Sean McLean and Danny Pitbull Pettis, and I can go on and on and on. I'm so excited for Josh Torres and for Fidel and Diamond Boy and everybody else who's coming up, all these up and comers, Angel Baby Pettis, and the excitement's there. We're seeing more boxing cards. We're seeing more people that want to be part of this, and that's what it takes. That's what it's about. And congratulations to Serge last year. What a speech!
Oh, and then his uncle, or I guess it's his older cousin.
Right.
Between him and Chris Linson, they sold the place out amongst themselves.
Well,
we should reintroduce them anytime we need tickets.
And Luis Chavez, who's been around this game forever, and what Angelo Leo's doing now, he's with Mayweather Boxing.
Right.
He's been fighting. He's undefeated. Jason Sanchez gets to go to Panama and fight, and I know you guys are going to have him here shortly.
So,
but yeah, it's just continuing and continuing, generation to generation.
I'm looking into possibly going to Panama myself for the fight.
Wow.
Yeah, you'd mentioned that, Austin. That would be one heck of a great trip to go to. Coach, we got a couple minutes here left with you, and we want to go into some other topics. You cover UFC, MMA, and boxing on the show. And There's a lot of times, Coach, you'll tell me, Coach, you don't know where I'm going today, so be ready. So that means on Friday nights, I've got to get USA Today and study basketball, baseball, soccer, football, and you never know if you might go to some culture and music, so I got to be ready for that too. But we always have a great time, though.
Absolutely.
We always have a great time. Coach, Canelo Alvarez and Triple G Saturday night, a rematch of the draw, the controversial draw that a lot of people, you and I talked about it a lot. I thought Triple G won, you know, and so this fight coming up on Saturday, Canelo tested for the beef, and they waited again. They're trying to make some more money. Your predictions for Saturday, Coach?
Well, let me just tell you what an exciting fight, and who would have thought clenbuterol would be the topic for oh so long. There has been a lot of tainted meat in Mexico, so it's interesting how they came to these conclusions. And if you listen to the radio show, I'll go more in depth. When you look at this fight, it's going to come down to this for me. If Canelo can connect on that uppercut, maybe double up here and there. Triple G, he's powerful. He stalks you, and you know he wants to put full-blown aggression on you, right? So if anything, we're going to get a heck of a fight. Where I see it, I like Canelo in this fight. I liked him in the first fight. I had it a draw. A lot of people disagreed with me. Totally get it. This particular fight, though, I think Canelo makes a statement. I think from the reports I've heard, this is what I've heard, is that this is one particular fight that he is trained with aggression. And if you looked at the press conference, they didn't do a face-off. You can tell there's a little animosity between the two of them. But sometimes that's to increase ticket sales and viewership. But I think in this particular case that Canelo Alvarez will come out victorious in a hard-fought match. But Triple G's going for Bernard Hopkins' record, 20 straight title defenses. When you look at Triple G, since 2010, he's held the belt. Since 2010, we're in 2018 right now.
That's incredible.
It's been an impressive run. Triple G is a great champion, but my prediction is Canelo Alvarez.
You got Canelo. Austin.
My timing is all off here. One thing I forgot to mention regarding the Hall of Fame, we're going to honor Christian Cabral and Josh Torres for Fight of the Year.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
Gosh.
deservedly so.
And we agreed on that Monday when we were doing our voting. And we can actually, people can see the film of that fight.
By the way, you did call that sixth round. You said
Seventh.
Seventh. You said it's going to be over in the seventh. It was. We got about a minute and a half, Austin. So get one more question in for Mike, and we'll announce the names one more time.
Well, one thing about Mike, when I did the magazine story, or my blog story on Mike, when he was giving me all these fights and throwing the years out, he had nothing in front of him. You were literally, you weren't off by more than a year. You're talking about 1983. Well, maybe it was 82 or 4, but you were rattling all these fights off that you thoroughly enjoyed, and the thrill you had going with your big brother.
Yeah.
And he's the one who exposed you. But those memories are encased in your brain because you had no cue cards. You were just rattling these dates off.
25 years in the business for Mike Adams. Mike, go ahead real quick, 'cause we got to wrap this up. But go ahead, tell us a little bit about your 25 years.
Yeah, you know, I've been fortunate. I've been blessed. And, you know, it's funny because you're with me every single Saturday and I have no cue cards. I have nothing written.
Zero.
So it's just something that I love sports. I love what sports is about. I love the journey. I really don't know much other than what I do know for today. And I'm honored that I can come on this show because what you guys do is give a medium for boxing. And that's the more that these boxers get publicity and are talked about, the better.
Exactly.
So congratulations to both of you. Thank you for
Coach, thanks so much. One final time for the 2018 Boxing Hall of Fame inductees: Jerry Martinez, founder; Brooks Bird, Pat Holmes, Jim Lilly, Dr. Reynaldo Martinez, Sandy Pino, and Tony Romero. That's going to do it for this episode of Legacy Boxing Showcase. For producer Josh Brown, Austin Colleen, he's on the mic with Mike Adams. 6:10 Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Also 2017 New Mexico Boxing Hall of Fame inductee. Thanks so much for being our guest, Coach. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Legacy Boxing Showcase.